Hey everyone. We got my video there? We're gonna make me up? At this point, I'm just a voice. We're gonna get the host to highlight my video, and this is an excellent example of some of the technical difficulties. There we are. Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's SEAL webinar and virtual fundraiser. I am Greg Quiroga. I am a San Francisco-based fundraiser and MC. I have the honor of helping work with charities every year to raise tens of millions of dollars. We appreciate you joining with us today to learn more about the situation in Lebanon, and more specifically, what you can do to help. And I want to be upfront. I want to manage some expectations appropriately. We wanted to do this in a more intimate setting, maybe over a good meal and a glass of something even better, but the times being what they are, we had to make some adjustments. We had to take our event and our fundraising virtual. And we are not a television production studio. The production you are about to see might have glitches. You might see a cursor on the screen during a video or hear someone off screen make a noise. And honestly, these are problems we'll gladly accept because these are first world problems. And the fact that we were able to pivot to an online event and you have the option to join us through your computer screen is fantastic. The families, the people that you are about to hear about, the families that we are here to serve, they don't have options. They're out of options, which is why we are here. So I want you to sit back, make sure you're comfortable, maybe have a tissue, but definitely have your checkbook ready. Let's start our program. Please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of SEAL USA, Norma Haddad.
Thank you, Greg. Welcome, everyone. I would like to start off by wishing you all safety and good health during these difficult times worldwide. We all realize that these are unprecedented circumstances. The pressures on all of you to help your families, multiple donation drives in Lebanon, immediate communities in your country of residence, in addition to the new uncertainties and disruptions of daily life due to the global COVID-19 pandemic crisis are overwhelming. All of that makes us tremendously appreciate your attendance today. For those of you who don't know SEAL, we were founded in 1997, 23 years ago, by Lebanese Americans in New York City as a 501c3 nonprofit and non-political organization. In response to the economic and humanitarian crisis in Lebanon, we started back in December our first food drive and helped feed 600 families in need in partnership with Beit el Baraka and the Lebanese Food Bank. Today, we are supporting their new initiative to reach more families, which you will hear about shortly in their presentation. Before we go through our program, we would like to begin with a short video that you can watch on your screen.
ظروف الحياة اليوم فرضت علينا نضل كلنا ببيوتنا. صرخة الوجع هاي سببها الظلم، مثل مليون ومئتين ألف لبناني اليوم عايش تحت خط الفقر، عايش بأقل من 7000 ليرة بالنهار. إذا بقي ببيته ما في طعم عيلته. بس حتى لو الظروف فرضت علينا نكون بعاد عن بعض، نحنا دايما قلوبنا عن بعض. بيت البركة وبنك الغذاء اللبناني مع 95 جمعية بكل المناطق اللبنانية عم بيعملوا المستحيل ليطلوا على كل بيت بلبنان ويأمنوا له أكل وشتلات خضرة بلدية تنزرع على البلكون أو على السطيحة لتمرق هالأزمة على خير. هيدي مش أول أزمة بتمرق علينا وبنتخطاها سوا. مش مسموح أي إنسان بلبنان يموت من الجوع ونحن بعدنا عايشين وقادرين نساعده. اللبناني ما بينسى خيه. اتكلنا عليكم.
This is heartbreaking, to say the least. The statistics are real. I am pleased now to introduce today's speakers, Maya Ibrahim Shah, founder and president of Beit el Baraka, and Soha Zaiter, executive manager of the Lebanese Food Bank, that have joined us from Beirut. Maya and Soha will be sharing their experiences mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on the growing demand for feeding more Lebanese families in need and answering your questions. Both organizations have built a commendable community service track record of feeding large numbers of vulnerable Lebanese families throughout Lebanon. Transparency, credibility, inclusiveness, and respect earned them the trust of many Lebanese donors worldwide. Before I hand the mic over to our speakers, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. The program will run for about an hour, during which we will hear from our speakers, launch the call for action to support needy Lebanese families, and answer your questions. We encourage participation through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be answering your questions during this session. Every dollar you decide to donate will directly feed Lebanese families in need. SEAL's operating expenses are entirely covered by its board. Your donation is also fully tax deductible. Now, I would like to turn the mic over to Maya and Soha to begin their presentation.
Good evening. I'm Maya Ibrahim Shah, President and founder of Beit el Baraka.
Hi, I'm Soha Zaiter. I'm the Executive Manager of the Lebanese Food Bank. I will brief you a little bit about Lebanese Food Bank history and mission. LFB is a non-profit organization established in 2012 by a group of Lebanese citizens to fight hunger and food waste through several projects. The main projects that are feeding program that includes food boxes and cooked meals, and the awareness program done in schools and university with new generations. To alleviate hunger and help the environment throughout by collecting wasted food of good quality and impartially distributed to charities and people in need as means to social progress. At present, we provide food on a daily basis to families and individuals in need, mainly through the collection of surplus food from our partners, such as restaurants, hotels, caterings, supermarkets, fruits and vegetables, exporters and importers. In 2019, we were able to collect almost 50 tons of fresh fruits and vegetables, and we were able to reach almost 10,000 families all over Lebanon. Now Maya will introduce you to Beit el Baraka and the situation in Lebanon nowadays.
So Beit el Baraka was founded in 2018 by my husband Christian and myself. Together, we decided to give back a sense of dignity to hardworking citizens once they retired by assisting them in their struggle with the increasing cost of living. We aim for the reduction of inequality and the exclusion of retired men and women past the age of 65. We are fighting poverty in the community of retired Lebanese citizens in a country where there are absolutely no pension plans in the private sector and no pension plans in the free labor sector. We assist 1,012 beneficiaries on a daily basis from the Lebanese community by offering them a free supermarket, full medical coverage, and decent housing. To date, we have renovated 83 homes. We pay the rent of 95 fragile families, and we are treating 608 patients. You should know that since the refugee crisis, the most fragile segment of our society, the elderly, of course, are getting evicted from their homes because they can no longer afford the increased rent. Every day, we need retired teachers, authors, tailors, taxi drivers, all sleeping in public places because they've been evicted because they can no longer afford the rent. So the situation in Lebanon is worsening with the COVID-19. It became a crisis within a crisis. We have 1.2 million Lebanese who live off day-to-day earnings with an average of $5 a day, which is the threshold of poverty according to the United Nations Human Rights Council. 1.2 million Lebanese means 1/3 of the population. So basically, by asking all these people to stay home because of COVID-19, you are literally starving them. Now, the percentage of people living in extreme poverty, meaning less than $4 a day, has increased from 8% in 2018 to 20% 2 years later. So today, the number jumped from 8% to 20% in less than 2 years, according to the Arab News published statistics of February 2020. Today, the disappearing middle class represents a bit less than 15%, while only 1% of the population holds a quarter of the country's wealth, according to the ESPA. So the middle class is becoming the new face of poverty. So today we are starting to tackle a new issue, which is the nouveau pauvre, the newly impoverished class. The face of poverty has changed, and the way of dealing with these people is extremely difficult because these people are just like everybody else, and these are not the typical stereotypes of poverty that we are used to seeing. I'm going to give you an example. Not long ago, we went to visit a lady. Her neighbors called us and told us they were no longer able to help her because their money was stuck in the bank as well. So we went to visit her, and oddly enough, we were in one of the prettiest buildings in Ashrafiyya, a typical 1970s style. And when we went to her apartment, we rang the doorbell, it didn't work. We knocked on the door, and this beautiful little old woman opened the door, and the smell of mold and humidity was tremendous. We went in and we noticed that she had no electricity. She just had candles for light. So we asked her about this. And she said she hasn't had any electricity since 7 years. And we came to realize later that most of the retirees from the middle class currently have no electricity, and nobody knows about this. This is terrible. And after October 2019, people came to realize so many Lebanese were suffering in silence, and misery and famine is gradually gangrening inside the Lebanese society, and nobody was aware of the extent to which it was dangerous. Most of these people even use the refrigerator as a cupboard. I mean, these are very striking memories that we have of the past few months and years of work. Now, because of the banking restrictions, many people are no longer capable of helping others, and they're turning to us for help. And we, in return, are turning to you. Because just like my colleague Soha in Lebanese Food Bank, Beit el Baraka as well is not able of accessing the money that we have stuck in the bank. Suppliers have the same problem. Today, the banking restrictions are at the core of the current predicament. And our suppliers who are distributing imported products are increasing their prices, and they're offsetting the purchasing power of the Lebanese consumers who have to pay in Lebanese pounds. So they are no longer capable of competing with the increased dollar value. And on top of all this, of course, there's the fear of a COVID-19 outbreak. The number of cases may exceed by far the official figures amid claims of quarantining in specific areas. Now, I'm going to let Soha explain the process of reaching these families. Soha, you're on mute.
Sorry.
These are the flaws of webinars instead of seminars.
Yes, so as you heard, everyone, Maya was telling about the situation that we reach. So we need everyone, it needs all of us to stand together. This is why Lebanese Food Bank and Beit el Baraka came together with this initiative. Our aim is to reach 50,000 families, and we can reach more with your help. We can offer them a food box that contains essential food items that serve a family for 1 month. This will be done through the 95 NGOs that we collaborate with all over Lebanon. We joined forces to be able to reach more people. We are using one bank account, and we have consolidated our efforts to reach all Lebanon by using our warehouse and our team. The immediate need is to feed as many people as possible. I would like to share a situation that we faced recently that speaks to the extent and urgency of this need. While distributing food boxes in one of the areas in Lebanon, we visited a family. Half of the members were sitting far away from the food table. We asked, why are you not eating together? One of the kids answered spontaneously, our turn is tomorrow. We were shocked. His answer pushed us more to call for action. We believe in your power and your will to help. We will not allow such stories to happen again. Let us provide food, which is the basic need for people to survive in this crisis. We can overcome this together, and we will act fast. Now Maya will explain what we'll be offering in the box that we're going to offer to these families.
So here is this amazing food box that will feed a family of 4 people for the period of a month, only for $35. And as Soha mentioned before, we are giving people their basic needs, but this is also their basic right. It's a human right to be able to eat 3 proper meals a day. So today we are joining forces with Lebanese Food Bank and with all the NGOs in Lebanon to turn this food box into a basic human right for people. Nobody needs to beg for food and nobody needs to go and vote to get a food box. This food box is going to be delivered to everybody in need without having to thank us. So let's get to this amazing box. Inside, you're going to find a selection of food items that are based, the selection is based actually on the World Health Organization recommendations. Our main focus was to purchase all the items from local farmers and local distributors. Local farmers, for example, like the seal supported farmers who supplied us with lentils, chickpeas, flour, burghul, za'atar, tomato paste, jam, even olive oil. And other basic goods are supplied as well by local distributors. We added also rice, pasta, sugar, salt, green peas, tuna, and sardines. And we have added also heirloom seeds and vegetable plants in each box so that people can start growing their own vegetables on their balconies to encourage urban farming. And this was the brilliant idea of one of my dearest friends who helped us with this movie, Nadine. I love you and thank you so much for giving us this amazing idea. So now Soha will talk to you about the NGOs partners that we are dealing with. And Soha is again on mute.
Mute. So, okay, excuse me, everyone. So I have mentioned before that we are collaborating with 95 NGOs. I will explain for you a little bit how we picked these NGOs as Lebanese Food Bank and Beit el Baraka, and how these NGOs will be our partners and will help us reaching these needy families all over Lebanon. So we do our due diligence carefully, and we have a process in place. And they should meet our list of requirements. Some of the list, now you can see them listed in the slide. We have long listed details. We have long list detailed. We'll be more than happy to share it with you. Anyone, if you'd like to have it, you can just send your email on the question and answer section. We can share it after the webinar. Coordination is key so that no family is forgotten and duplication is avoided. Beit el Baraka and Lebanese Food Bank are receiving hundreds and hundreds of phone calls every day from families pleading for food to survive. As Maya mentioned, this is human right. This is not something extraordinary. So our job is to connect these families to these NGOs for us to help them properly. Now Maya will take you through the process of this initiative done by Beit el Baraka and Lebanese Food Bank.
Okay, so how do we do all this? First of all, as you all know, the country has defaulted. Companies no longer have access to foreign currencies and local dollars are no longer exportable. We call them here lolar. Commodities and necessity goods are becoming scarce in a very dry market. So, and as you know, also foreign remittance inflows are of the utmost importance because 1/3 of the local population depends on financial support from a relative abroad, a daughter, a son, a father. And because of the banking restrictions, NGOs as well, since we cannot depend on local dollar transfers and donations, local NGOs as well are now depending fully on international donations. And this is why we have placed the Lebanese diaspora term. If you look at the chart, you will see that Lebanese diaspora is on top of the chart because you are the ones who will gear up the fate of this nation. I know it's a lot to ask, but it's your donations that are the only accessible, 100% accessible funds for us. So once we retrieve these funds, we can purchase the goods from the seal-supported farmers and the local distributors and start packaging these extremely urgently needed food boxes. Then we can dispatch them to the 95 vetted NGOs who will in return dispatch them to the 50,000 families. So they're all across Lebanon from all communities and all areas. Now, how do we monitor all this process? We monitor it personally. So you will find Soha, you will find me, you will find all our team of exceptional people, all of them working on the ground and monitoring the entire process. So we first start with boxes. Even the boxes and the bags are all sterilized. They're sealed. Once the food is put inside, they're sealed, and the NGOs are instructed not to open them. So every family receives a food box that is sealed and untouched. Our NGO partners are instructed to act like us as well, because they follow our hygiene guidelines for zero contamination risk. So they have to have their storage areas and warehouses and trucks fully sanitized and sterilized on a regular basis. They also have to wear masks, gloves, special cover suits, shoe covers, and there is absolutely no contact with the families whatsoever. They just deposit the boxes at the doorstep and leave. We have a short video actually that we prepared for you to see how things are done. George is running the video now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our presentation to you tonight. So we'll take a couple of questions before the call to action.
Yes, Maya, I want to answer a quick question that mentioning what are the obstacles that we are facing today as Beit el Baraka and Lebanese Food Bank and all other NGOs all around Lebanon. We have so many obstacles nowadays, and I will mention just 3 of them. First of all is the financial situation. The fact that we cannot withdraw the donation that we are collecting from the banks, and we don't have access to our account. This is a big problem for us. Second, the security situation that we are facing, all of us, all the globe, everyone on earth is facing. We have a lot of volunteers as Lebanese Food Bank and Beit el Baraka that cannot be subjected to the COVID-19 while packing, while distributing. So we cannot let them face this severe virus. So, and the third and the most important one for us as an NGO, we are overwhelmed with the tremendous demand that is beyond our capacity. We have a lot of people, as I mentioned before, calling us, just asking for food, and this is a big problem for us to face. And hopefully, with all our help, your donations, we can help these families to have some food boxes.
Thank you, Soha. I'm going to answer. I'm going to pick haphazardly a very nice question. Someone's asking, what's the most heartbreaking experience and what's the most pleasant experience we've had so far. For the most heartbreaking experience, I don't need time to think. It's an experience that I will unfortunately never forget. And I wish I had never lived to see that day. We went to Tripoli in November because we discovered after the revolution the extent to which people were hungry there. We honestly, we never knew, and I think this is the guilt that everyone feels here in Lebanon. So we packed 1,750 food boxes in two huge trucks, and we headed to Tripoli. And once we got there, ironically, we had to park our car next to a huge mansion, beautiful mansion. We parked our car there and had to walk for 10 minutes. So the distance between that palace and the extreme poverty we saw was just 10 minutes. And basically we got there and walked inside these very small alleys of Tripoli that were absolutely amazing. But then at one point we saw a group of kids sitting, and they didn't look healthy at all. They actually looked very sick, and there were lots of them. So we found a woman who was willing to talk to us, and she told us she's also part of an NGO apparently that helps these children, and she also discovered the extent of poverty after the revolution. So she told us that these children are actually, they were 12 years old, although they looked 8 or 9. They were extremely malnourished. Their teeth were completely rotten, and their teeth were just little spots of black remains from decay. And they had hollow eyes like very old people. So anyway, this was already the first shock. We gave them the food boxes and we left. Then our second stop was in the famous Sahet al-Nur. And there, the most horrible thing happened. We were attacked by this enormous group of young men, and they were all handsome, young, dignified Lebanese citizens, just grabbing to our trucks, and they wouldn't let go, and they were begging us with so much dignity at the same time. I mean, it was such a huge mix of emotions that were completely different. And they were just begging us to stay and to give them food, and this was not fun. Now for the nicest experience I have, I'm sure that my team will probably, if somebody had asked this question to Lies or to Ghadi or Aida, I think that I'm sure they would have answered the same way. One time we were at the supermarket, and we have one of the old ladies who comes in regularly on a daily basis and takes her stuff. And at one point she started coming in every day to take the same exact items. So she was taking every day flour, sugar, baking powder, vanilla, butter, and milk every single day. And one day I got worried. I followed her, and I was walking with her, and I said, Tante Juliette, why are you taking the same items every day? Don't you want to take something else, something more nutritious, some proteins? And she stops and looks at me. She was leaning on her cane, and Madame Juliette is 93 years old. She's 94 now. She looked at me and said, Habibti Maya, God gave me health and you gave me an oven. I'm baking brioche for the poor. So this story summarizes the joy and the beauty of our work. And these are the types of people that you will be helping. So there we have it.
Thank you, Maya and Saha, for this moving presentation. We appreciate the work and time you put into it to bring us the facts about the tragic situation on the ground. And I'm sure you agree, as we heard, this situation requires a call for action. You have the opportunity now to help those Lebanese families in need by participating in our Fund a Need drive. I will hand over the mic now to Greg for this part of the program. Please stay with us. This will not take long, and we can spend the remaining time answering your questions, and I could see many of them coming. So we're going to get to them. Greg, please. Thank you. We have so many questions, Maya, and I think we're going to start answering some of those. And we can see many questions here in the Q&A. We have a few of them.
Elias Haddad is asking a very interesting question, if I may answer this one.
Yeah.
So Elias is asking, Maya and Soha, are you engaging the youth, such as students, to assist in deliveries and distribution logistics? Well, Elias, I would like to tell you that we have an amazing program for students. We have until now 18 schools that have participated in community service in our shop and our warehouse. We have taught hundreds of students how to order and stock and do the stock count and how to classify goods. And we also taught them how to deal with the less fortunate, the rules of dignity with people who are less fortunate, how to accompany them to their homes, ask them very, very discreetly if they need anything, the way they can help, the way they can. And at the end, we noticed that many of these students are still going to visit these people, our members, without passing through us. I mean, they have bonded with them and created friendships with them that are absolutely amazing. And every student who comes to spend a few days or a few hours in our supermarket gets a certificate. So basically, and we are touring in all the schools also for awareness campaigns on poverty.
Just, I want to mention something other than the Beit el Baraka is doing. As Lebanese Food Bank, we're visiting also a lot of schools to do an awareness campaign about poverty in Lebanon, food waste, percentage of people living in poverty and under the poverty line. And let the students come up with a program that they can work on and show them that they can do something for their society as well. Just we have to put them on the right track, and they have the will to change, and they are the future of this country, and they will do amazing job afterwards.
Soha, Maya, we have so many questions in there. Can we try to cover as many as we can? Because I know people are, it's amazing what we have, the engagement, and all these questions are wonderful.
Yeah, there's a question from
Yeah.
Do you want us to go by one from the up to down, or what do you want us to do? Just
whichever you like, but I think we should answer those questions, and I think
as many as we can.
That is not bad if you can tackle it. You know, somebody is asking about the number of employees, the staff that you have, how many employees you have, and how many volunteers you have. Can you answer that question?
Let's start, Soha.
Okay, we are 16 employees between drivers, assistant, warehouse, and in the office of Lebanese Food Bank. Of course, each activity or each project we are working on depends on specific numbers of volunteers. Some of them can be involved with schools, school students, university students, and sometimes we get the help of employees in their free time, in the weekend. So that's it. We help. We get the help from everyone. So that's it.
Okay, and in Beit el Baraka we are below 2% in overheads because we work a lot with volunteers. Unlike Soha, unfortunately, we don't have the possibility of having as many vans, although Mr. Kamal Sunmo, one of the founders of the Lebanese Food Bank, tried to help us a lot to get a van. But as you know, unfortunately in Lebanon, laws are very weird. One of the laws is that we are not allowed to get a van, although we have a supermarket, but they only allow us to get a funeral car, so just to bury people. Anyway, so we work a lot with volunteers.
Maya, if you can read through the questions and try to answer as many.
Yes, so we're moving on. We have Ali Ati who is asking, hello, if we are able to reach the families that could enroll in your program, would they just have to call? Yes, they just need to send a WhatsApp message with the details of where they live and their telephone number, and that's it. We call them and go to visit them and do what it takes to enroll them in our program if they meet, of course, the requirements and the guidelines. Soha?
Okay, here Aline Abitaya. Hello, who are the suppliers you work with? We don't have a specific one. We have several ones nowadays, especially because you know the products are being rare to find now. So you have to work with several suppliers. and some of the companies that support us or Beit el Baraka give us good prices for the products that we're buying. How do you pay them with the bank issues we're living now in Lebanon, and how you make sure to get the best prices for products? Of course, we have several quotations with the Lebanese or US and US dollars issue. First come, and second with cash payment. Okay, we're giving them, it depends on the strategy that each supplier is adopting. So most of them now are getting paid cash, some of them in Lebanese pounds and others in dollars. But we're trying our best to have cash money and to withdraw money from the banks as much as we can.
We have Rania Akhras asking, can you please tell us more about the urban planting initiative mentioned in the video? So with regards to urban planting and urban farming, this is an idea that is now concretizing a little bit more, because before the COVID crisis, we were forming a trio with Lebanese Food Bank, Beit el Baraka, and all of this was under the management of our dear friend Nadine, who wishes to remain anonymous, but it's practically impossible. This was her idea, actually, to start planting a little bit everywhere and creating kitchens with these urban farms. Now, we started one of the first kitchens in Nab'a, but during the process of building one of these kitchens with the entire process of cleaning the atelier where ladies could come and learn how to cook and package and learn new recipes and stuff, the COVID-19 outbreak started. So we are now distributing directly to the homes and helping people plant their own seeds and small heirlooms on their balconies. So we are going to stay in touch anyway with all the 50,000 families. So whoever needs to ask more questions, we have an NGO we're working with called Buzurna Juzurna. They're absolutely fantastic. What they do is they promote traditional agriculture, and they have endemic seeds and endemic plants. We have also the project of a huge 250,000 square meter land that we are planting in Nahli, next to Baalbek, with Buzurna Juzurna also. And we have another land that Life also very kindly helped us sponsor, where we're planting also these kinds of greens that will be cooked in these communal urban kitchens.
Okay, now Rania Sabti asked how you will choose the areas to take the food boxes to. Do you have distribution plan in place? Of course, as I mentioned before, we are working as Lebanese Food Bank since day one. We worked with NGOs. We didn't deal directly with needy people. So our partner NGOs are all over Lebanon. As I mentioned, if you like to, we can share the list of NGOs, and the people that asked me to share the list, I will share it right away. The distribution plan, we were discussing this with Maya. We will start with the most needy areas in Lebanon. As you know, the poverty in Lebanon is distributed in different places in the north, in Bekaa. The percentages are different from one area to another. So we'll start with the higher level of needy, or higher level of needy family, let's say, and we will go through these. Maya?
Someone is asking, Jumana Tajir, no, Marley. Can you please clarify your ability to access local donations versus expat donations? Well, this is the most horrible statement. Our local funds are stuck in the banks. Every dollar that we receive locally gets stuck in the bank. We used to even have a credit card system for online payment. And even the fresh funds that used to come directly through the credit card system was not considered fresh funds by the banks, because once the money is transferred through the credit card system, the bank that first hosts the money sends it back to another local bank and then says, oops, I'm sorry, this is no longer fresh money. So basically, the first bank is stealing our fresh money and giving us what you call lolar. So we immediately stopped the system, and now we have an amazing bank supporting us a lot. So this bank is the BMO Bank, in which we have our current account, who give us 100% of our fresh funds. They even call us every time we receive funds from abroad. They call us and say, your money is ready. There is an international exchanger in Lebanon, Kataf, who is aware of this campaign we're doing, and he knows that we're going to have more and more campaigns to come. So he is ensuring the targeted amounts. He's ensuring them in Lebanon in cash, and as soon as the money is transferred, he immediately sends the cash, the banknotes to them.
Maya, I just wanted just to say something that we've really gone over the hour. Maybe we'll give it another 5 minutes. And for sure, we're going to have to reply to everyone's questions, and we can follow up after this webinar, because I know that we still have attendees. It's wonderful, but let's give it another 5 minutes and then we'll do the closing. But, you know, we would promise to follow up with everyone on their questions.
Of course. Just I want to ask, I want to answer, how the Lebanese government helping the poor by Marwan Faraon. Marwan, you're in this field for a long time ago, but you know, as Lebanese Food Bank, we are helping the people that are registered in the Ministry of Social Affairs as well. So nowadays, as I mentioned, I'm receiving calls that people are going to the Ministry of Social Affairs, and they are giving them our number as Beit el Baraka and Lebanese Food Bank for us to help. So unfortunately, we are doing their job, and all the NGOs here in Lebanon, they are doing an amazing job that the government should do, but we are doing our best.
I would like also to add on another note that what the government does, not only does the government not help its own people, but they make sure to make our lives, the NGOs' lives, miserable. So there are absolutely no exceptional treatments, no bending rules when the rules are wrong. We cannot meet with anyone from the government when it comes to suggesting new laws that could eventually change the system. And one of the worst things is that until now, the government has not issued a proper, clear emergency social plan. Until now, we are still waiting. Everything we hear is new laws for building dams or new laws for electricity boats and pollution, everything that destroys the country. But until now, not a single emergency security plan for poverty, nothing. There are promises of paying 400,000 liras per family of 4 for a month. But we are sure that just like what's happening with the food boxes in Tyre, all the food boxes were literally taken by the political parties and distributed to their people. This is what's going to happen to the money, and we already know that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maya, Soha, one more question, and then
Lebanon paychecks to your supplier here, but can you still get Lebanese pounds in Lebanon? But it's very limited. Paychecks to your suppliers. You know, people need cash money now to survive. So we are paying in cash. Can expats donate? Yes. Greg just mentioned that now. Greg, can you repeat just the way that people can donate?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
They can go to seal-usa.org/donation-family, and there they can pay by PayPal, credit card, or check. I'll enter this in the chat in a moment. They can also do wire transfer by contacting Norma at norma@seal-usa.org, and they can go to Venmo @seal4Lebanon, and I'll put all of those into the chat.
Okay, just a question, Marlene. Antaki, what about the orphans and people with disabilities? Now, all the NGOs that have children and disabilities, they all went back home because of the situation. The NGOs, in collaboration with all of us, we are able to send food parcels to the families in their houses directly, instead of helping the NGO for them to cook or do snacks and everything. We are helping this NGO to deliver the food boxes directly to the families.
Great.
I'm going to answer Josh and Danielle Boutros. What is the financial need on a yearly basis to support the number of families you are targeting? So our budget for 2020, our expected budget for 1,012 members in Beit el Baraka was for $650,000. But this is a budget that was set before COVID and before having to shuffle all our system of distribution and all this. So this is for Beit el Baraka. So how would you like to comment
Sorry,
on
I was
this?
reading. Sorry?
Would you like to add something on this?
About the budget?
Yes.
Yes, as you mentioned, the money that we're getting, it's directly the biggest percentage, because, as you know, we have 6 trucks, refrigerated ones. We received 2 days ago, Maya knows that, what do we say? تصريح.
So the permit, the circulation permit.
So we can use truck number 6 because it was donated 4 or 5 months ago and we couldn't use it. So today, hopefully, we can use it. So
I'm very jealous.
So our budget is mainly going to feed people, and the rest of it is to the overhead, of course.
Maya, Soha, we have to wrap up. I'm going to take the last question by Katia Abdul-Noor. How can you ensure that the banks, with all their issues, will give you access to the new money? And, BMO has been consistently delivering the fresh dollars to account holders. However, nonetheless, we will wire the fund incrementally. I'm going to turn now to Greg to do the closing. This was an amazing session. Thank you, everyone. Greg?
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Soha. Thank you, Maya. And thank all of you at home, but especially Maya and Soha. Thank you for sharing such moving stories and what you are doing to help save lives. Cannot imagine what life is like for you on the ground, and we truly appreciate the opportunity to help in whatever way that we can, because the rest of you watching from your homes across the United States and the globe have done amazing work. And remember, if you don't do it today, if you've made your donations and we're there, we appreciate you. You've done amazing work, and the campaign continues to run for the rest of the month, another month. So if you have friends, family, or neighbors who couldn't join us today, remember, send them to seal-usa.org and encourage them to get involved. Thank you all for your generous donations. The need is too big for any one group or individual to tackle. So at this time of a global crisis, we seriously, honestly appreciate you rising to the challenge as a community to make this happen and to help those who've been affected in Lebanon. We are deeply grateful. If you have additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to SEAL. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe and bless you all.